This program is intended to assist in training the operator on the Hobart Model 1612E manual slicer and the 1712E automatic slicer, and is a supplement to the instruction manual. The instruction manual provided with your machine has the numbers ML104546 for the 1612E slicer and ML104547 for the 1712E slicer printed on the cover. Be sure the ML number agrees with the number stamped on the data plate on the machine. For more information, always refer to the instruction manual. Replacement manuals can be obtained from your local Hobart office. Warning, these machines are provided with 3-prong grounding plugs. The outlet to which this plug is connected must be properly grounded. If the receptacle is not the proper grounding type, contact an electrician. Safety devices incorporated in these slicers must be in their correct operating positions any time the slicers are in use. Turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate and unplug the machine power cord before cleaning the slicer. The slicer knife is very sharp. Exercise extreme caution when working near the knife. Before beginning any maintenance procedure, unplug the machine power cord. Your new Hobart slicer has been designed for easy operation, cleaning, and maintenance. A full range of features, including the Hobart Stay Sharp cast solid stainless steel knife, one-piece burnished aluminum base, permanently mounted ring guard, direct drive all-gear transmission, and top-mounted knife sharpener, mean your Hobart slicer will deliver safe, reliable service for years to come. For demonstration purposes, the Hobart 1712E slicer will be used to illustrate slicer features, cleaning, and maintenance procedures for the remainder of this video. Hobart slicers can handle a variety of products, including meat, cheese, vegetables, and even bread. Each slicer is designed to make your slicing operation easy, efficient, and productive. In the next few minutes, you'll learn Model 1612E and 1712E operation procedures, including parts identification, safety precautions and practices, operating procedures, both manual and automatic, cleaning procedures, sanitizing procedures, and maintenance procedures, including knife sharpening and lubrication. Let's take a moment to become familiar with the parts of the 1612E and 1712E slicers and their location. Operation of each part will be explained later in the program. Always remember, safety devices incorporated in Hobart slicers must be in their correct operating positions any time the slicer is in use. Before operating the slicer, check to be sure the safety devices are in position and properly installed. The top knife cover must be in position and secured with the latch knob. To secure the top knife cover, place the notches on the knife cover over the pins on the ring guard and gently lower the cover into position. Rotate the spring-loaded latch knob counterclockwise until the cover has settled into a resting position. Release the latch knob to secure the cover. Next, check the deflector plate. It mounts behind the knife on spring clips. Carefully place each clip on the knife support and press firmly to secure the deflector plate in place. The meat grip is used during slicing. Keep your hands away from the knife. To use the meat grip, lift and rotate the grip into position. Press the grip firmly into the product. The non-removable ring guard is located around the knife edge and shields the knife during operation and cleanup. You should also follow several safety precautions when working with the slicer. When the slicer is not in operation, turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. This prevents the knife edge from being exposed. And before cleaning, lubricating, moving, or performing any maintenance procedure, always unplug the machine power cord. To operate the 1612E or 1712E slicer, begin with setup and assembly. As previously mentioned, make sure all safety devices are installed correctly. To begin the slicer setup, position the carriage tray onto the carriage support. A large thumb screw holds the carriage tray in position. Make sure the spacing washers are on the outside of the support and tighten the thumb screw. The top-mounted knife sharpener will already be mounted on its bracket in its normal operating and storage position. To operate the 1612E or 1712E slicer in the manual mode, pull the carriage all the way toward you until it reaches its stop. Next, with the meat grip out of the way, place the product on the carriage tray. Operating tip: remove all thermometers and metal clips from the product before you begin the slicing operation. Adjust the fence by loosening the thumb screw and sliding the fence so it is close to the product, but not pushing against it. Then tighten the thumb screw to secure the fence in position. Then set the meat grip against the product. If the meat grip is not needed, store it out of the way by sliding it to the top of its travel, rotating it, and allowing it to rest on the retaining clip. Adjust the gauge plate by turning the index knob to select slice thickness. The numbers on the index knob do not indicate actual measurements, but should be used as reference to duplicate slice thickness. Once you've done this, pull out the on-off switch knob to start the slicer. Notice the knob illuminates when the slicer is on. Place your hand on the carriage tray handle and push the carriage back and forth to slice the product. As you do this, uniform slices are produced. To operate the 1712E slicer in the automatic mode, pull the carriage all the way toward you and load the product as already described. Then set the speed selector knob to the in position for low. Always start automatic slicing in low speed. Turn on the slicer and lift the actuating lever to the automatic position. Gently push the carriage to engage the driving unit and begin the slicing operation. To change to high speed, pull out the speed selector knob when the carriage is at the operator end of its travel, and rest the notch on the shifter sleeve. To return to low speed, release the speed selector by pulling it out slightly and returning it to the in position when the carriage is nearing the operator end of its travel. To disengage the driving unit and end automatic operation, push the locking clip when the carriage is nearing the operator end of its travel. Always disengage the automatic driving unit before turning the slicer off. If the slicer is shut off while the drive unit is still engaged, the carriage will briefly glide. As the product contacts the knife, the slicer will stop, often slicing midway through the product and resulting in incomplete slices when you resume slicing. Adjust the speed selector knob to the low speed setting when the slicer is not operating in the automatic mode. After you've sliced the desired amount, close the gauge plate and turn off the slicer. When the slicing operation is complete, or you need to switch product, it is recommended that you clean and sanitize the slicer to prevent cross-contamination. First, turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Make sure the slicer is off and unplug the machine power cord. Then, using hot water and mild detergent, carefully wipe the top knife cover, carriage, knife edge, gauge plate, and discharge area. Finally, spray sanitizer on the areas, wipe, and rinse thoroughly. Remember, while cleaning or sanitizing slicer components on the machine, use single wiping strokes away from the knife edge. Avoid using back and forth cleaning motions. To increase your slicing productivity, several accessories can be used with the Hobart 1612E and 1712E slicers. A fence is standard with 1712E slicers. It assists in holding the product in position during slicing. To use the fence, loosen the thumb screw and slide the fence onto the carriage tray. Position the fence close to the product, but not pushing against it. The product should have room to move freely on the carriage tray. Once the fence is in place, tighten the thumb screw to secure. Several fences can be used at one time for slicing small items. The optional food chute is handy for slicing a large number of small items at one time, or large items like lettuce or cabbage. To use the food chute, close the gauge plate by turning the index knob fully clockwise. Make sure the slicer is turned off and pull the carriage all the way toward you. Loosen the carriage tray thumb screw and carefully remove the carriage tray. Position the food chute on the carriage support, making sure the spacing washers are on the outside of the assembly, and secure it by tightening the thumb screw. Place the product into the food chute and carefully lower the pusher plate into the chute. Be careful not to drop the pusher plate into an empty food chute. It could damage the retaining ring at the bottom of the chute. Adjust the gauge plate by turning the index knob to select slice thickness. Turn on the slicer, place your hand on the carriage tray handle, and push the carriage back and forth to slice the product. For higher productivity, use the food chute with the 1712E set for automatic operation. Your slicer must be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized after each day's operation, or any time it will not be used for an extended period of time. Before beginning any cleaning procedures, always turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Make sure the slicer is off. Pull the carriage all the way toward you and unplug the machine power cord. To begin cleaning, remove the fence by unscrewing the thumb screw and sliding it from the carriage tray. Next, remove the carriage tray. Loosen the thumb screw and lift the carriage tray from the support. Now, remove the deflector plate by grasping it with both hands and pulling out away from the machine. Remove the top knife cover by rotating the latch knob counterclockwise and lifting it away from the slicer. Then remove the top-mounted knife sharpener by sliding the locking lever to the left and lifting it from its mounting bracket. The carriage tray, deflector, fence, top knife cover, and top-mounted knife sharpener may all be submerged in a hot water solution for cleaning. Do not wash any slicer components in a dishwasher. Next, clean the gauge plate and both sides of the knife using the soft cloth and hot water detergent solution. Now, clean the ring guard. Warning, the slicer knife is very sharp. Exercise extreme caution when working near the knife. To clean the ring guard, submerge a soft, thin cloth in the detergent and hot water solution. Note, never use a hard material or a kitchen utensil to clean the ring guard. The knife and ring guard could be damaged. Insert the cloth at the bottom part of the ring guard where it meets the gauge plate. Using both hands, position the cloth so that you are able to grasp it with your left hand from underneath the gauge plate. Carefully work the cloth between the knife and ring guard. Once the cloth is in place, use your right hand to pull the cloth 360 degrees around the ring guard in a counterclockwise direction. Pull the cloth until you reach the point where you started. Repeat this procedure if necessary. When finished, remove the cloth. Rinse the ring guard and both sides of the knife using the same procedure as you did while washing. With the hot water and detergent solution, now clean the slicer body, including the base, discharge area, and all other exposed surfaces. After all of the slicer components have been cleaned, thoroughly rinse the slicer and its components with a soft cloth and fresh hot water. Now sanitize the slicer. Using a recommended sanitizing solution diluted to manufacturer's guidelines, carefully spray the solution on all areas of the slicer, including the top knife cover, carriage tray, deflector, top-mounted knife sharpener, fence, gauge plate, knife, ring guard, discharge area, and base. Thoroughly rinse the slicer and its components with a soft cloth and fresh hot water when sanitizing is complete. In addition to cleaning, it is advisable to coat the knife with a USDA-approved odorless, tasteless oil. Carefully apply the oil to both sides of the knife, wiping outward from the center. Once the knife has been coated, replace the top knife cover, deflector, carriage tray, and fence as shown earlier. To reassemble the top-mounted knife sharpener, place the sharpener into position on its mounting bracket, lifting the front of the sharpener slightly. Slide it back to the rear slot on the sharpener slides over the rear guide pin on the mounting bracket. Then, gently push the sharpener down over the front guide pin. Slide the lock lever to the lock position and check that the sharpener is tightly in position. Now, clean under the slicer. First, lift the slicer. Locate the lift lever on the side of the unit and raise the lever past center until it stops. Carefully clean under the slicer. When finished, slowly retract the lift lever. The Hobart cast stainless steel knife requires periodic sharpening, and you can determine when to sharpen the knife. Sharpen the knife when you get ragged or uneven cuts, or excessive tailings or scraps. It's important not to sharpen the knife more often than necessary. Prolonged or sharpening too frequently results in unnecessary knife wear. Before beginning any sharpening procedure, turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Make sure the machine is turned off and unplug the machine's power cord. Then pull the carriage all the way toward the operator end of its travel until it stops. Remove the top knife cover by rotating the latch knob counterclockwise and lifting it away from the slicer. Thoroughly wash the area around the knife, the exposed knife surfaces, and the knife edges. Food soil should not be transferred from the knife to the sharpener's grinding wheel. Sharpening a dirty knife will shorten the life of the grinding wheel. Next, plug in the machine's power cord and pull the on-off switch to start the slicer. While standing at the operator end of the slicer, lift the sharpener handle to a horizontal position with your left hand. Pull the sharpener handle toward you and apply pressure until the handle has gone as far as it will go. Sharpen the knife for 5 seconds and release the sharpener handle. When you are done sharpening, turn off the slicer and unplug the machine power cord. Using a clean, damp cloth, remove any grinding particles by wiping both sides of the knife and the gauge plate. Then, clean the ring guard as described earlier. Wipe the slicer and knife with another clean, damp cloth to remove any remaining particles, and sanitize the machine as described earlier. If you don't intend to use your 1612E or 1712E slicer for an extended period of time, coat the knife with the USDA-approved odorless, tasteless oil as described earlier. Finally, replace the top knife cover. In order to keep your slicer operating at its best, it is necessary to perform some routine lubrication to the unit. A container of the proper lubricant was supplied with your slicer. Additional quantities are available from your local Hobart office. Lubriplate FMO 200AW is used to fill the carriage slide rod reservoir. The slide rod reservoir is located here. Simply place the container tip into the reservoir and squeeze to fill. After the reservoir has been filled, place 2 or 3 drops of lubricant on the slide rod itself. Lubriplate FMO 200AW should be used to lubricate the gauge plate slide rods if indexing becomes stiff. Carefully turn the index knob counterclockwise to fully open the gauge plate. Exercise extreme caution. With the gauge plate open, the knife edge is exposed. Lubricate the slide rods by applying a light coat of Lubriplate FMO 200AW lubricant to each. Then turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Do not lubricate the meat grip slide rod. It must be kept clean, but not lubricated. Let's review some key points about operating and maintaining Hobart 1612E and 1712E slicers for peak performance. The 1612E and 1712E are provided with 3-prong grounding plugs. The outlet to which these plugs are connected must be properly grounded. Turn the index knob fully clockwise to close the gauge plate. Make sure the slicer is off and unplug the machine power cord before cleaning, lubricating, moving, or performing any maintenance procedure. The slicer knife is extremely sharp. Exercise extreme caution when working near the knife. Regularly clean and lubricate your slicer according to manufacturer's guidelines outlined in the operator's manual. Always disengage the automatic driving unit with the locking clip before turning the slicer off. Do not over-sharpen the slicer knife. Use a soft cloth when cleaning the ring guard. Using a hard material or a kitchen utensil will damage the knife and ring guard. This concludes operator training for the Hobart 1612E and 1712E slicers. For additional information regarding operation of this machine, always refer to your instruction manual. If service becomes necessary, contact your local Hobart authorized service office. For more information on how other Hobart products can improve the efficiency and operation of your facility, contact your local Hobart representative.